Does your fuel gauge say your tank is empty even though you just spent $50 at the gas station? If your check engine light is on, and you have a code P0463, it means your fuel level sensor circuit has a high input. This is a generic powertrain code that affects almost any vehicle on the road today. The fuel level sensor or sender is usually a part of the fuel pump module sitting right inside your gas tank. It uses a float attached to a metal arm that moves across a resistor as the fuel level goes up and down. This changes the resistance to ground and varies the voltage signal sent to your instrument cluster or the powertrain control module. A high input code usually means the signal has gone above 5 volts, which often happens when there is an open circuit or a bad ground. You might see your fuel gauge bouncing around like crazy, or it might just stay stuck on empty or full regardless of how much gas you actually have. The most common causes are a broken signal wire or a ground path that has too much resistance because of rust or a missing ground strap on the fuel tank. Sometimes the resistor inside the tank simply wears out over time, or the tank itself gets dented and jams the float arm. To troubleshoot this, start with a visual inspection under the car to look for any damage to the fuel tank or the wiring harness leading to the pump. Look for a rusty ground wire where the tank is supposed to connect to the frame, and clean it up if it looks bad. You can perform a voltage drop test on the ground circuit using a digital volt-ohm meter. With the engine running, you want to see 0.1 volts or less between the battery ground and the sensor ground. If you see nearly a full volt, you have a major resistance problem that needs to be cleaned. A quick way to test the gauge itself is to provide a solid ground to the sensor connector at the tank. If the gauge moves all the way to one side, you know the wiring and the dashboard are working fine and the sensor inside the tank is the part that failed. Since replacing the sensor usually involves dropping the entire fuel tank, it can be a big job that is best left to a professional if you do not have a lift or the right safety equipment for handling gasoline. Addressing this issue will make sure you never get stranded on the side of the highway with an empty tank when your gauge told you that you were fine.